Evening. It is 6:30. I'm going to call the meeting to order. TJ, will you please call for the roll?
Mrs. Best.
Present.
Mrs. Davis.
Present.
Mrs. Epling Skinner.
Present.
Ms. Harless.
Present.
Mrs. Hudson is absent.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Kelly Davis. I am the president of the Worthington Board of Education. I want to introduce you to the individuals who are up here with me. We have Board Vice President Amber Epling Skinner, our treasurer TJ Cusick. We have Assistant Superintendent Jeff Maddox, Board Member Stephanie Harless, and Board Member Jennifer Best. If you're able, please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. May I please have a motion to approve the agenda for tonight's meeting?
So moved. Second.
It's been approved and seconded. Do we have any changes or adjustments? Okay. TJ, will you please call for the vote?
Mrs. Best.
Yes.
Mrs. Davis.
Yes.
Mrs. Epling Skinner.
Yes.
Ms. Harless.
Yes.
Motion carries. All right, now an exciting time. We are, first I'm going to, so I don't forget, may I please have a motion to recognize the Worthington Cardinals Middle School Boys Track and Field team for winning the OHSAA 7th and 8th grade Track and Field State Championship.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. TJ, will you please call for the vote?
Mrs. Davis.
Yes.
Mrs. Epling Skinner.
Yes.
Ms. Harless.
Yes.
Mrs. Best.
Yes.
Motion carries. Board Member Stephanie Harless.
Okay. Maybe. Okay. Green light, not red light. Noted. Okay. I would like to invite the coaches and the team to join me up here. I'm going to tell everybody a little bit about this amazing accomplishment. You guys just want to make your way up? Awesome. All right. As Kelly mentioned, we would like to recognize the Worthington Cardinals Middle School boys track team. And if you don't know, this is made up of members, students from Kilbourne Middle School and Worthing Way Middle School, led by co-head coaches Katie Crystal and Nick Wiedenhoff. If you guys are here, welcome. And we also have assistant coaches Abby Calgill, Adam Cooper, Jaden Hill, and Khalil Jones. So congratulations to you guys, and to a little bit about this amazing accomplishment. To even qualify to go to the state meet, because there aren't separate divisions in middle school, you have to have an athlete in the top 24, and there are over 1,000 schools that could qualify. So even making it to the state meet was an amazing accomplishment for these athletes. But they didn't stop there, as Kelly mentioned. They won the whole thing, and we are very, very proud of them. Each of these 10 athletes had a qualifying time, a top 25 qualifying time, so that is also an amazing accomplishment. And as they went on to win the state championship, they competed in the following events: shot put, 4x800 relay, 110 meter hurdles, 4x200 relay, 1600 meter and 1800 meter runs, and the 4x400 meter relay. And I am very tired just saying that. So in addition, the future of Thomas Worthington Track and Field sounds like it might be in pretty good hands, because all 10 of these gentlemen will be attending Thomas in the fall. And so we cannot wait to see what lies ahead. So I'm going to ask each of you to introduce yourself and then tell everybody what event you competed in.
I'm Wes Mail, and I competed in the 4x8 and mile.
I'm Noah Ellinger, and I competed in the 4x2, 100 meter, and the 4x400.
I'm Logan Corcoran, and I did the 4x800 and the 4x400.
I'm Calvin Watson, and I did the 4x800, the mile, and the 800.
I'm Riley Greco. I competed in the 4x8.
Tristan Ricketts, and I did the 4x4 and the 4x2.
I'm Gabe Carter, and I competed in shot put.
I'm Jeremiah, and I did the 4x2 and 4x4.
All right, can we have a round of applause for these gentlemen? Excellent job. And I'm going to give your coach these certificates, and she can hand them out. And if you guys don't mind staying put, and we'll do a quick picture. Nick? All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Great. Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you so much for being here. Congratulations to all of you. It's an amazing accomplishment. You are welcome to stay for the rest of our meeting, or you can enjoy this beautiful, warm evening, maybe with a popsicle or ice cream cone. So, thank you for coming.
Thank you so much.
I don't believe we have any visitor comments, okay. So I'm going to move on to information and proposals. The second reading of, Neola policy updates, Stephanie.
Yep. So I think you guys already saw in the attachment and the email that we got that the only change that we have introduced after talking to legal was we had originally crossed out that section on, sorry, I'm trying to find it in here. I'm on healthcare services. Yeah, thank you. There. Yep, I got it. Yep. Okay, so we had originally struck the entire section, procedure for authorization from parents for healthcare services, not because we won't follow the law. Again, we will follow the law no matter what's in the specific board policy, but because we didn't think it was required by the bill. And after consultation with legal, we added a much abbreviated section just basically saying that we're directing the superintendent to adopt a procedure. And again, that procedure will follow the law, but it just doesn't belong in board policy. Everything else that we struck after consultation with legal is appropriate and not instructed by the bill itself. So that's the only change.
Okay. Jennifer or Amber, do you have any questions? I don't either. Okay, we will vote on this later in our meeting. All right, next up, reports and announcements. Superintendent's report, Mr. Maddox.
Thank you very much. As you know, our mission in the Worthington schools is to empower a community of learners who will change the world. In Worthington, we have 4 vision statements for this report. I will provide an update in each vision area. The first of our 4 vision statements is we will engage each student with diverse opportunities to maximize every student's potential. We're into week 4 of summer learning. It's been an amazing month of learning, and we've served 1,400 students. Most summer learning will wrap up at the end of this week. Session 2 for summer credit recovery will resume in July. The second mission statement is we will provide a safe environment where every student can grow intellectually, emotionally, socially, and physically. Thanks for our AAPL team led by Angie and Kelly. This week, we will welcome back teachers for the second of the 3 Thursdays, Professional Learning Day. Teachers will select learning opportunities centered around CKLA implementation, trauma-informed practices, utilizing AI in the classroom, and much more. We're thankful for a teaching staff that seeks to continue to learn and grow, especially over the summer. The third mission statement is we will provide consistent communication and promote dialogue with our community. For your calendar, our annual First Time Bus Riders event is scheduled for Saturday, August 2nd, here at the Worthington Education Center. So again, that's Saturday, August 2nd, here at the Worthington Education Center. Students will have an opportunity to learn bus safety, meet our bus drivers, enjoy some Kona ice, etc. And then we'd love to see our community on August 2nd as we gear up for the new start of the school year. If you've not been to that event, it's a fun one. And the last of our mission statements is we will be responsible and transparent with our community's resources. As you've heard, Dr. Bowers has written extensively regarding the state budget process and pending litigation that is intended to provide property tax relief. While tax relief is important, new proposals could limit local communities' ability to fund schools. We believe it's critically important to protect school funding by ensuring any tax reform doesn't harm our schools and preserve local decision-making and the ability for community to support schools through levies. Drastically changing the system without a sustainable plan to reimburse schools and local government would have devastating consequences. We should have a greater clarity on the impact of these proposals by the 1st of July. The community should expect communication on how this will impact our schools in early July. And President Davis, that is Dr. Bauer's report.
Thank you, Mr. Maddox. Are there any questions for Jeff? Okay. Thank you again. Treasurer's report, TJ Cusick.
Thank you. Just a brief update on the budget process that Jeff mentioned. We should know, although I think it's going to be very late in the day tomorrow, the results of the reconciliation process between both chambers. That will be voted on by both chambers and sent to the governor, I think, on Wednesday. So we'll know more, maybe not until Wednesday morning or late tomorrow afternoon. The rest of my update, I'm going to focus on tonight's agenda and give some background on the various topics. This agenda is pretty heavy in finance, as it normally is on the second meeting in June, because it's the end of our fiscal year, June 30th. And so we're wrapping things up and budgeting for next year. So the first item tonight, the year-end transfers and advances. Those are pretty standard protocol that we do every year. We advance money to various grant funds, and then the grants, when we receive those in July, we pay the general fund back. With the exception tonight, I'm recommending a transfer of $48 million from the general fund to a capital projects fund that we created last meeting. The district has about $2 to $3 million a year in various capital project needs. So we normally budget those in the general fund. We also have a long-term master facilities plan that has identified significant updates to the district over the next 20 years, including significant elementary work. And so since the focus of this state budget has been around general fund cash balance, and members of the legislature have told us that if we have needs elsewhere, we should move the money, I am recommending that we move $48 million of that cash balance, and then we're also going to pick up the expenses in the general fund and move them over and account for those. So that will, over the 10 years that the fund will be in existence, that will lessen general fund expenditures by about $25 million. And the remaining balance can be used toward other capital improvement needs from our master facilities plan that normally would have been issued through future debt. And so that dovetails into the next items on the agenda: approval of the final 2025 budget and initial 2026 budget. After accounting for some of our expenditures that we accelerated, including summer wages, we finished 2025 about $3.2 million under budget, which is about where we see ourselves every year. That is a timing variance, really, in unspent WEC renovations and building budgets. We allow our buildings to carry over their unspent funds, and then we will pay out the remaining WEC improvements at the beginning of next year. So when you look at the 5-year forecast, you take into account those accelerated expenditures and then add the transfer of $48 million. That puts our final 2025 budget at $244 million. So that's what's on tonight's agenda for approval. And then moving on to the 2026 budget, the general fund is $190.2 million. That aligns with the 5-year forecast, except again, we took about $3 million out of capital outlay and moved it into the fund where we're placing the $48 million. So it's a little bit less than what you saw in the forecast. While all that happens tonight on 2 pieces of paper, we have a full 100 and some page book that's an outline that we just finished a couple hours ago, so we're gonna have to really take a look at that, but it's been delayed this year, so I ask for your patience as we get through that. But that will be up on our website tomorrow, so you can see the nuts and bolts of everything that goes into this in a very detailed manner. And then lastly, on tonight's agenda are modifications to the contracts of the superintendent and myself related to our retirement contributions. I will say it's common practice to include non-salary items in executive compensation packages. In the private sector, you think 401k contributions, stock options, stock incentives. In the public sector world, for us, that means it's boards paying the required contributions to the retirement system. These are ways to leverage tax advantages so the employee gets compensation, but the net expense of the employer is less than it otherwise would be because of those tax advantages. So it's pretty standard practice in both the private and the public world. But for some reason, the Senate inserted a provision into this budget bill that would prohibit boards of education from picking up our retirement contributions specifically for treasurers and superintendents. And so this amendment tonight allows for the board to honor the contracts we entered into so that our net compensation remains the same if this proposed legislation passes. And I know I speak for Trent. We are both grateful for the board that they see through this legislation and are willing to make these amendments tonight. So President Davis, that is my update.
Thank you, TJ. Are there any questions for TJ? Okay, and thank you for all your work. We appreciate you.
I should say thank you to our staff. Our staff in our treasurer's office had a really wild 2 weeks, the last 2 weeks. So we're almost to the end here.
Yeah. All right. Moving on to board committee reports and announcements. Does anyone have anything to report or announce?
So I haven't really had any committee meetings over the past 2 weeks, but I just want to thank TJ for all the information he has gotten out to the Treasurer's Advisory Committee. He's not only kept all of us updated, but that whole committee. So hopefully, they have also helped in writing the legislators and working on some of that. So appreciate TJ's diligence in getting all that information out. And that's it for me.
I had a finance committee meeting, but I think we've covered that. I was able to attend the Worthington Comprehensive Plan kickoff event, which there's not a lot that happened there to share. But as we know, the district is comprised of much more than Worthington, although Worthington is a portion of it. And I would encourage anybody that is not currently involved in that process to plug in and give their feedback, regardless of whether or not you live in the official city of Worthington. It impacts the district. It certainly impacts potentially the revenue that we gain from property taxes, but just impacts all of our students and things like that. So, and a lot of our buildings are obviously in Worthington as well. So to the extent that people are able, I would encourage them to plug into that.
Amber, do you have anything?
Not really. We had the finance committee, but yeah, I don't think I have anything to update past what TJ talked about. The one question I did have after your report, will we have access as the board and the community to that 100 whatever page?
Yeah, we can print you a copy and we'll post it on the website and I'll send it out as soon as we
Okay. No hurry. I was just curious to see some of the changes, but yeah, that's all I had. Thank you.
I echo Stephanie. I also attended the comp plan meeting. I know that they have another meeting coming up. I think it's virtually, and forgive me, I don't know the date, but I do think that is a good conversation that to be involved in. They did mention that it will be a couple months process, so it's not something that is just going to take a couple weeks. It said maybe even up to a year, if I remember correctly. So you have time to connect and be engaged in that way. So that's the only thing that I had.
Can I add one? Sorry,
Absolutely.
I'm so scatterbrained tonight. As far as advocacy goes with the budget, there is a planned protest on Wednesday. I just wanted to share with anyone who's interested. It's being organized by OEA, but it's at 1:30 on Wednesday. It's just a rally to demand that fair school funding formula be included in the Ohio State budget. So that will be the time that the House and Senate will both be on the floor, I believe, because I think conference committee's tomorrow. So I don't know. Just sharing that, it's at 1:30. But, and then after that, I think maybe we probably need to have some type of a, if, there is something in there that we want to try and advocate with the governor's office to line item veto, that will probably need to be a communication that will probably need to happen in between the two meetings. So just throwing that out.
Yeah, and maybe, I think we all have discussed this so much that, we can't all be involved, but certainly that's something that you and Kelly can draft on our behalf, on the board's behalf, because I think we're all aligned on where we are, so.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you for mentioning that. I do think that's important. So I appreciate that. Anything else okay. Moving on to actions recommended by the treasurer, routine business.
Thank you. I would like to recommend that the Board of Education approve the minutes from the June 5th work session and the June 9th meeting as presented in the enclosures listed in the agenda, please.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments? TJ, will you please call for the vote?
Mrs. Epling Skinner.
Yes.
Ms. Harless.
Yes.
Mrs. Best.
Yes.
Mrs. Davis.
Yes. Motion carries. Actions recommended by the treasurer, new business.
Yes, I'd like to recommend that the Board of Education approve the year-end transfers and advances listed in your agenda, please.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further questions for TJ? This is the one I want to comment about, though, real fast. So on here is the food service fund, and this year, you said we're required by law to pay off this balance of $84,000. And so I went back, and because this has always been such a high amount, and it always concerns me about families not being able to pay for lunch. And last year's balance that we paid was $65,000, and the year before that was $59,000. So I just bring that to our attention that this year it jumped $20,000, and also just to share that there's legislation out there for free breakfast and free lunch for students. And so obviously it's a concern for our families. We're not immune to that. And so I think that just demonstrates that there. But just to kind of point that out.
Thank you for doing that comparison, because I think that is something that's really important to track. It's on, I'm just not loud enough. I'm looking at you. No, I appreciate that. It's just, we should watch it, not because I'm concerned about the spend. I mean, it is important to be concerned about the spending, but because it's important, as you said, to make sure that our kids can't learn when they're hungry.
Right. Oh,
So,
sorry, that was loud.
Thank you.
Correct. Okay, sorry. TJ, will you please call for the vote?
Mrs. Harless.
Yes.
Mrs. Best.
Yes.
Mrs. Davis.
Yes.
Mrs. Epling Skinner.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Moving on to item F2, I'd like to recommend that the Board of Education approve the final fiscal year 2025 appropriations resolution as indicated in enclosure F2, please.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments? TJ, will you please call for the vote?
Mrs. Best.
Yes.
Mrs. Davis.
Yes.
Mrs. Epling Skinner.
Yes.
Ms. Harless.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Item F3, I'd like to recommend that the Board of Education approve the initial fiscal year 2026 appropriations resolution as presented in enclosure F3, please.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments? Okay, TJ, will you please call for the vote?
Mrs. Davis.
Yes.
Mrs. Epling Skinner.
Yes.
Ms. Harless.
Yes.
Mrs. Best.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. I'd like to recommend that the Board of Education approve the 2026 fee schedule as indicated in enclosure F4. I will mention that there's no change in these fee amounts, although we are making a change to eliminate fees for those that qualify for reduced price lunch. The reduced price lunch is not, is pretty close to, from an income level standpoint, to a family as free lunch, but we historically have still charged them 50% of the fees. We're now waiving those fees in an effort to make those more affordable. So approval of the fee schedule as indicated in enclosure F4, please.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments?
No, I just think we should note that we still are not charging school fees. This is extracurriculars in preschool, so.
Yes, yes. But thank you for the update, especially
Yeah.
for the reduced, for these fee amounts. Will you please call for the vote, TJ?
Mrs. Epling Skinner.
Yes.
Ms. Harless.
Yes.
Mrs. Best.
Yes.
Mrs. Davis.
Yes. Motion carries. Okay, moving on to the personnel consent agenda, Mr. Maddox.
I am recommending that the Board of Education approve the consent agenda items G2 through G6, G2 through G6.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments? TJ, will you please call for the vote?
Ms. Harless.
Yes.
Mrs. Best.
Yes.
Mrs. Davis.
Yes.
Mrs. Epling Skinner.
Yes.
Motion carries. Moving on to item H, actions recommended by the superintendent, new business.
Thank you. I am recommending a motion to accept the donation listed below in H1. Donation listed in H1.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any questions, comments? TJ, will you please call for the vote?
Mrs. Best.
Yes.
Mrs. Davis.
Yes.
Mrs. Epling Skinner.
Yes.
Ms. Harless.
Yes.
Motion carries.
And then I'm also recommending a motion to approve the renewal of the facilities use agreement between the Worthington School District and Swim Inc. Incorporated as indicated in enclosure H2. I believe TJ sent that out as well to you, and that's in enclosure H2.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. TJ, I'm just going to ask you, can you just, a little snippet of that this is an extension?
Sure. So the, previously we leased the old natatorium to Swim Inc. We signed an agreement to use that natatorium. That agreement expires June 30th, and the new natatorium won't come online until sometime in August, hopefully. And so this agreement extends that use until such time, and then it terminates when the new natatorium comes on. So we're paying the same rate. We've just kind of placed the existing rate into a daily rate, and it will terminate upon when the new natatorium comes online.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification. Can you please call for the vote?
Mrs. Davis.
Yes.
Mrs. Epling Skinner.
Yes.
Ms. Harless.
Yes.
Mrs. Best.
Yes.
Motion carries. Okay, actions recommended by the Board of Education. May I please have a motion to approve the policy updates recommended by Neola as presented for a first reading at the June 9th, 2025 regular board meeting.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any other additional comments or anything regarding these policies? Okay. TJ, will you please call for the vote?
Mrs. Epling Skinner.
Yes.
Ms. Harless.
Yes.
Mrs. Best.
Yes.
Mrs. Davis.
Yes. Motion carries. May I please have a motion to approve the addenda to the contracts of the superintendent and treasurer related to retirement system contributions as presented in enclosures I-2A and I-2B.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any questions or comments? Okay, TJ, will you please call for the vote?
Oh, wait, I do have a
sorry.
question. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
So this covers us if the legislation moves forward. If the legislation in the budget bill does not move forward, it gets removed or whatever, we just maintain status quo, correct?
Yeah, the amendment will stay, but it won't be invoked if.
Got it.
If the
Thank you.
proposal doesn't pass.
Oh, that was a good question. TJ, will you please call for the vote?
Ms. Harless.
Yes.
Mrs. Best.
Yes.
Mrs. Davis.
Yes.
Mrs. Epling Skinner.
Yes.
Motion carries. We are now at requests, questions, and concerns from the board. Any requests, questions, concerns? Okay. All right. Moving on to calendar, our next meeting is Thursday, July 10th at 7:30 a.m. in this room. Just a reminder that I will not be here, that Amber will lead that meeting. Thank you for doing that too, by the way. Then our following meeting will be back on a Monday, July 28th at 6:30. And then the following week, Monday, August 4th, again at 6:30. Okay? All right. May I please have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
TJ, will you please call for the vote?
Mrs. Best.
Yes.
Mrs. Davis.
Yes.
Mrs. Epling Skinner.
Yes.
Ms. Harless.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you guys for joining us. Have a good evening.